In this video series, we are going to create this profile page just like Instagram that have the avatars, the username, and the edit buttons. And it also shows how many posts, followers, and also followings. And you can see we also have the stories at here, so it can scroll, and you can see the scroll button will disappear when this is start, and when you scroll to the end, it will also disappear, the scroll button. And also, if you look at this, when you click on this button, it will have a borderline at here, and it's just like at the same line together. And when the mouse over on the picture, you can see the semi-transparent back cover the image, and there is a heart icon and also the comment icon shown on the image. And at here we will cover the Next.js image also, and also other areas such like the fun awesome and also the Daisy UI and also the hero icons. So the first thing is we already download the start project from the IG headers tooltips project, and we already have the components of headers. And we can go to the terminals. We go to the terminal and type yarn to install all the package. So we already installed, and now we type yarn dev. Now we go back to localhost 3001. Now we can see we have the headers, and we will start from here. Now the first thing is we go to create a new file called profile.js, and then we type _rafce, and then we type profile here. This let us know that we are using the profile components later, because we now go to the index.js, and inside this, instead of using these lorem tabs, we are going to replace this with the profile component. So we delete all of this, and then we import the profile. And now if you look at this page, you cannot see the profile because it already hidden by the headers. So we have to back to the class name and type padding top 20, and also we have to change to the Instagram background gray color. So we use grade 100. So now we can see the profile, this word, and we can see there's a light gray color as background. Now we are going to add these avatars on our profile page. So we have to back to the profile components, and then inside here we add the class name. So we add the class name with maximum width of 6XL, and you can see that width is 72 rem. And we have the horizontal margin, so we have the margin left and margin right. We have the paddings, and also for the extra large, we have the margin X auto. And then inside this, we create another div, and we are going to use the grid. So we type the class name, which is grid, and we have the grid columns 4, and the gap between them is 4, because we want to divide this into 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, and we want this to take up 2 columns. And we already has the Daisy UI, so we can use the Daisy UI at the profile page. So inside the div, we want to start to use the avatar. So we use the class name of avatar, and then we create a roundful, and the width and height is 36. And then we add the image inside this circle. So if you look at our web page, and now you can see the avatars already appeared on our profile page. So now we want to create another div, and this time we just add some random text And as we said before, we want to make it occupy 2 columns, so we use this column span 2, and now you can see it has 2 columns, and inside this we just type some lol, some text. Now you can see it occupy 2 columns. And at last, we also want to adjust this to the center horizontally, so we can use justify center and save it. Now you can see it will move to the center of its own columns. After we already finished adding the avatars, we are going to add the details. So the first thing is we are going to add the text, the edit profile buttons, and also these setting buttons. So we back to the page and we delete all of this. Instead, we create a span with the class name of test grade of 700, and also the text is 2 extra large, and also we have a margin right of 4, and then we type the username. For example, we use ckmobile as the username, and then we are going to create a button, and we use div dot the cursor pointer to make it as a finger when mouse over it, and we use inline, and the text is small. We use the inline is if we do not use the inline, the div will occupy the whole width, so we have to use the inline style, and the text is small. And then we also use the text a light gray. The text grade is 700. This is not light gray, this is dark gray. And then we have the font is semi bold, and the padding of 1. And for the horizontal padding, we have extra large paddings, and then we add a border, and then we have the border is light gray, and then we make the button is rounded, and we use the margin right of 4, and then we type edit. So now we have this edit button, and instead of edit, this is edit profile, so we save it. Now we can get this edit profile button, and now we have to import the setting icons. Now we go to the top and import the code icon from the heroes icons, and then we apply these after this edit profile button. So we type the code icon, and then with the class name is equal to cursor pointer and the height of 6, and also this is inline and have the flash 1. Now we can see these setting buttons, and then after this we are going to add another div, and this will take up the whole row, and we have the margin top of 4 and flex, so they will align in a row, and we are going to use the font weight of semi bold for 200. We have the margin left of 4 for these two, and both of them are also using the font semi bold for the font weight. So now we can get these 200 posts forwards and also followings. At last, we are going to add the tag, the URL, and also the username. So we save it. We have this div and also another div. The first div is this one. We are going to make this a font weight of semi bold, and this div have padding top of 3 units, and we use dark gray and also the margin right of 2. And I think these do not need, because we do not have anything on its right hand side, so it has no difference for adding a margin right. We have another div also has padding top of 3, and for the text we use the text blue 700, and for the URL this is the same, also is blue in color, but the font weight is medium. So now we can get the link, the tag, and also the name. In this part we are going to add the profile stories to the page, and if you remember, actually this is very similar to our IG stories, so we can copy this from our IG stories project. So I just copy the components from the IG stories and paste to this project, and we are going to change this to profile stories, and this is the profile story, and we also rename this as profile stories. So now we are going to change the import. So this is profile stories, and this should be the profile story, and we also change this to profile stories, and also at last we also export as profile story, and we do the same for this one. So now I think we already do all the name changing, so we can save all, and then we back to the profile page, and then under this div we are going to import the profile story, and then we also import this on the top, and now we can go to our page and refresh to see what happened. Now we can see there are mistake on the profile story, so we can go to here and to see what happened, and this is because we do not have profile stories, so we have to rename this. Now we also do not have this icon, so we also have to import the fun awesome. So now we copy this, and then we go to the terminal, and then we type yarn add, we add fun awesome, and then we also type yarn add the SVG icons. And now we also need to change this because we no longer has the profile, we no longer has the stories at the profile story, so we back to here and go down to here, and then we change this to profile stories, and then we also need to change this to profile story. Now we already import the IG stories to our profile page, but you can see the styles is quite different, or a little bit different, so we have to change this, but there's only a little bit change. So first we go to here. Instead of using the max content, we are going to use the 100% width. So now you can see the arrows already go to here. So we already go to 100%. And then at here, we also need to change the width. So we use 100% width, and also we go to as a larger space, and then we can see it already expand to 100% width, and then we go to the fun awesome part because we do not want the icon is white in color, because if you look at the real Instagram it should be black, so we have to change this to black. So we find the white and we change this to black. Now we have the black color, and we also want to add the opacity to be 60%. So we add opacity 60. And now this becomes 60%. And at last we have to go to the story. So we go to the profile story and change the size, and we change this to 24, and it should has a larger width of the username, so we change this to 20, and we also have to adjust the height and width. So we type height 24 and width is 24. And then we also do not need this gradient color, so we can just delete this, and then we just use bg gray 200 and save it. Now you can see this is gray in color and also has a larger size, and it should delete this height 24 and width 24 at the image because it already controlled by the outer div. So we save it, and now you can see the stories already created. And one last thing is the background color should not be white, so we have to go to the stories and delete this background color. And now you can see the stories already appeared on our profile page. But as you can see, when you scroll the stories, the scroll bar is still here, and this is not smooth, but we already add the cast scroll smooth and scroll bar height. This is because in this project we haven't added these two packages, the tailwind scroll bar height and the tailwind scroll behavior. So we have to go to the terminal and add these two. We also need to add the tailwind scroll behavior. And then for the config file, we have to add the required tailwind scroll behavior. So we have to back to the tailwind.config.file, and then at the plugin, we add tailwind scroll behavior, and also at here we copy this and paste to here. So now if we go to the page, and now we can see it scrolls smoothly, and also the scroll bar do not appear. In this part we are going to add this line and also these 4 buttons. So when the user click on this, you will see there is a light above this button. The first thing is we are going to import the icon. So we go to the profile page and go to the top, and we have to import the font awesome because we are going to use the font awesome for the grip radical and also the F8 address card, and this is the address card. And also we are going to use the hero icon, which has the play button and also the bookmark icon. Now after we already import all of the icons, we are going to add the line. So the first is we have to add this HR element, and which has the border grade 500. So this is a darker gray, and we have a margin top. So we have a space between the top and the line. So we save it. Now if we look at the website, we can see it already has the line added on the profile page. So we continue to add the 4 buttons, and then we create a div to contain all of these buttons. So we add the div and then flex and then justify center, and then we are going to add the button. So we create a button, and we want to add the border grade of 800, and then we go to add the name. For example, the first one is post. So now we should have the button of post, and now we want to paste all of these buttons to the center. So for example, we have these 4 buttons. This is all on the starting point, so we should use the justify center, and then we should make a gap of 10. Now you can see the 4 buttons already have some space in between, and we can add a border top to see what it looks like. So we add border top. So now you can see the borders is on the top, and we are going to try to make it on the horizontal line. So we want to try to use the margin, the negative margin, and 0.5 pixel. And now we continue to style the button, and we have to add a padding Y, so it has some paddings on the top and also at the bottom. So we have the py of unit x, and we want to make the text is small, and this should be 4 unit. And we also want to make the font weight is semi-bold, so we use font semi-bold, and we will put the icon here. So we use font awesome, and then icon is equal to the grid vertical, and the size is equal to LG. So we save it. Now we have the icon, and we want to make the gap of 2, and we also have to add the flags. So now it has some space between the icon and also the text, and then we also need to use the text of grade of 400. But when we focus, we are going to darker the text, so we use focus and then text grade 600, and then we also add focus border top. So only when you click on this, it will have the border. So we copy all of these style and paste to the other buttons, and then we change the name. So the first one is videos saved and text, so we change this to videos save and tag. And then we are going to add the other icons. So we want to add the paint icon to the videos, and then we also add the bookmark icon to save. And last, we will also add the address card icon to the tag. So now we already create all of these icons, and when the user click on this, it will have a line appeared on the top. In this part, we are going to demonstrate how to use the Unsplash API to get the image, and we will use this to pretend this is the image from the user. So we go to the Unsplash API, and if you already registered, you can go to your app, and then we create a new applications. And because I already create this, so I continue to use this. And when you scroll down, you can see there is SS key, so we can use this as SS key. So we copy this and go to our project and go to the directory, and under the root folder, we create a new file .env.local, and we should change this to .local. And then we go to add the next public, and then we use the client ID, and we have to use this prefix in order to use this in public. So we need to add this, and then we paste the SS key at here, and then we save it, and then we restart the server because we have added this file. Now you can see it load env from this file. And then in order to access the API, we are better to use the Axios. So we type yarn add Axios, and then we go to the profile page, and then we close all of this, and then on top we import the Axios from Axios, and then we use effect, and then we create constant fetch data, and then we use constant data is equal to our weight axios.get, and then we pass the URL with our client ID, and we already has this client ID in the env.local file, and then we clear this and also delete this input, and then we can console log this data to see what happened inside. And now we are going to fetch the data, and I forgot to put the async. Now we can go to our we can go to our website and go to the
inspect. And go to the console.
and we have to import the use effect. Save it. Now we can see the data is like this, and we are going to find the URL, and we see this result. We have the ID, and when you scroll and click inside, we can get the link. So we are just want to have the link. We have to destructure this and get the links and then get the downloads. So the first thing is we have to destructure the data and result. So instead of just using this, we have to use a curly bracket and then put the colon, and then we put the result, and then we try to console log the result to see what happened. And now you can see it is much cleaner. But now we just want to get the link, so which is inside these links property. So we are going to use the map function to just take the download link. So now we go to use constant edit result is equal to result dot map, and then for each item we just get the item dot links dot download, because this is links and this is download, and then we console log the edited result. Now we can see the data. We can get all of the links without other unnecessary informations. We already have the data of the image link, so now we are going to use this as image. So first we create the state of image. So we use state, and then we name the image as the state, and then we have to import the use state, and then at here we set the image as the edited result. Now we already have the image data, so we go down. After this div, we create another div, and we use the class of grid, and we have 3 columns, and then we set the image dot map, and then we have the image, and then we render with the div, and then inside the div we have the image tag, and we set the source as image, and then we save it. And of course we have to set the initial state as empty array, and then we save. Now we can see the image already load at here, but the height has some problem because they have different height. So we are going to set the height of the image. So we go down to the image. At the div, we set the class name is equal to height 64, and then we save it. Now we can see it still have some problem because we should also set the overflow hidden. Now you can see the width and height is okay, but some of the image is not in full size to cover the div, so we have to set inside the image. So we go to here and add the class name, and then we use object cover, and we also have to set the height of 64. Now we can see the height is okay now, but the width is not okay, so we have to go to the image, and then we set the width is full, So this is 100%. Now we can see the image take up all the areas inside the square. And now we can see there are a little bit problem of this. The background color is changed from gray to white. This is because at the index page we set the height is H screen, so this is limited by this size, so we save it. Now we can see all these area become gray in color, and now we are going to change this to Next.js image, because if you look at this, when you refresh, it will take some time to load this image without any optimizations. So we are going to use the Next.js image to see how it is better than using image tag. So we back to the profile, and then instead of using this one, we are going to use image, and then the source is also the same, but this time we use layout is equal to fill, and object fit is equal to cover, and then we are going to import the image from next image, and then we save it. Now we can see the hostname unsplash.com is not configured under the image of next.config.js. So we copy the domain name and back to the next.config.js, and we paste the comma and paste the domain name and save it. And then we restart the server. And then we refresh the page. Now we can see the image can be loaded, but it becomes full size because we haven't added div to wrap the image. So we have to use the div with relative, and then with the height also 64. And then we put the image inside this div. So we put inside this and save it. Now we can see the image already rendered just like before. And if you refresh the page, you can see it load very fast instead of just loading it one by one. And this is because of the Next.js image optimization. In this part, we want to create an effect that when the mouse over, there is a transparent dark colors on it, and there is also the number of followers and also the comment icon appeared. So now we have to add a custom class, and which is to create that transparent black color. So we go to the tailwind.config.css, and then we go to the theme, and under the extent we create the colors, and we create a name called black RGBA, and then we use RGBA with 0, 0, 0, and the opacity is 0.3, and then we add the comma here. So now we already create this custom class, so we can use this at the profile.js. So we go back to the profile.js, and on top of this we create another div, and we use the relative class, the group. The group is a custom name, and which is used to trigger another element later. So we create this div, and we put all of these inside the div, and then under this image we create another div, and this is the top cover. So we add the div, and then we have to add the absolute, and then we use top 0, and also opacity 0, and then we also want to use group hover. So when the mouse over the outer div, it will have the opacity equal to 100, and then we want to place exactly the same places as the parent div, so we have to use left 50% and also negative translate of x-axis of 50%, and then we set the width and height is 100%, so we use the width full and x full, and then we use the background color that we just create. This is a transparent black color, semi-transparent should be, and then we use the flash, and we have also the text of white color, and then we want to paste the text at the center of the div, so we use the justify center and also the items center, and then for example we type something, and then we back to our web page, and when we mouse over it, you can see that something already appeared, and there is also a semi-transparent black color, and we should also add the items center. So now when mouse over it, it will become at the center of the div. Now we want to add the icons and also the number to replace this text, so we paste on this, and then we import the heart icon from the hero icon, so we go back to the hero icon and we duplicate this, and we import the heart icon from the solid hero icon, and also we import the FA command from the SVG icon. Now we can go to see again. You can see everything looks right, except this is in the wrong direction, so we have to use a negative scale. So we back to the icon, and under this command icon we have to add the class name equal to scale x and -1 and save it. Now the direction is correct, and the last thing that we have to add is to make some space between these two icons. So we go to the div, and then we add space x3. Now we can see it has some space in between now, and everything looks pretty, and you can mouse over it and a semi-transparent black color appear, and also the icon also appear.